If you look closely at what just unfolded between Washington and Ottawa, this was not a negotiation. It wasn't even a dispute. What we just witnessed was an ultimatum crashing head first into a wall of resistance. For decades, the economic partnership between the United States and Canada stood as one of the most successful relationships in the world. Deeply integrated, seamless, and mutually profitable. It was the gold standard of international cooperation. But as of this morning, that relationship is hanging by a thread. Donald Trump has just demanded $500 billion from Canada. Not over 10 years. Not through gradual negotiations. Not as part of a balanced trade reform. He wants it immediately. His demand includes massive concessions, expanded market access, guaranteed resources, and what his administration calls trade balance corrections. Truth Social, the demand was presented almost like an invoice, as if Canada had been underpaying some kind of debt for the past 30 years. Imagine a neighbor suddenly knocking on your door and claiming you've been underpaying rent for 3 decades, then handing you a bill for $500 billion at breakfast. That's essentially what happened. But then Mark Carney did something that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, financial markets, and political capitals across the Western world. He tore up the invoice. Not quietly, not diplomatically, not behind closed doors. He rejected it publicly, strategically, and decisively. And the way he did it rattled Washington to its core. Trump is scrambling. Markets are reacting violently. And many of the so-called experts on television are missing the real story unfolding right in front of them. Because this moment may have just redrawn the economic map of North America. The $500 billion demand. The $500 billion figure didn't come from frustration. For months, President Trump has been hammering Canada over trade deficits, pointing to Canadian lumber, energy exports, metals, and manufacturing advantages. His team compiled what essentially became a wish list of grievances. Tariffs they disliked, market protections Canada maintains, and every perceived imbalance in cross-border trade. They added it all together. They padded the numbers. And somehow, they arrived at $500 billion, the amount the White House claims Canada owes for decades of unfair trade. Any serious economist will tell you the number is pure fantasy. Trade deficits do not work like credit card bills. Countries cannot simply send invoices to each other. But Trump wasn't aiming for economic accuracy. He was aiming for the headline. And the headline was exactly what he wanted. Trump demands $500 billion from Canada. It dominated conservative media. It energized his political base. It framed him as the tough leader finally forcing America's allies to pay their share. There was just one problem. He sent that demand to the wrong man. The Carney response. Mark Carney is not Justin Trudeau. He isn't interested in polite smiles and diplomatic golf games. When Carney saw the $500 billion demand, he didn't just say no. He delivered a response that political analysts will likely study for decades. Standing at a podium in Ottawa, calm and controlled, he said, "The United States is our partner, not our landlord. Canada does not pay tribute. We do not accept invoices from foreign governments, and we will not be bullied by fantasy accounting." That single sentence landed in Washington like a cruise missile. Within minutes it was trending worldwide. Within an hour European leaders were sharing it. Within 2 hours, the White House was forced to call an emergency press briefing. Their response. Trump's reaction. Trump fired back instantly. He called Carney a failed banker and accused him of being controlled by global elites. Then he threatened to impose a 50% tariff on all Canadian goods. Not 25%, 50%. He declared that Canada would pay one way or another. But while Trump was venting on social media, the markets had already begun delivering their verdict. And the verdict was brutal. The markets respond. Within 45 minutes of Carney's statement, U.S. Treasury yields spiked, signaling rising instability. Investors didn't see Trump's demand as strength. They saw recklessness. They saw a president willing to risk the largest bilateral trade relationship on earth for a political headline. And markets hate uncertainty. The auto industry panic. Then came the auto sector shock. The American auto industry is not purely American. It is North American. A single vehicle produced by General Motors may cross the U.S.-Canada border 8 times during production. Engines, transmissions, electronics, and components flow constantly between factories in Michigan, Ontario, Ohio, and Quebec. Threaten a 50% tariff on that system, and the consequences are immediate. Ford stock dropped, GM dropped, Stellantis dropped even harder. The Detroit automakers weren't afraid of Canada. They were afraid of their own supply chains collapsing. The energy card. Then came the most dangerous signal of all. Canada supplies more energy to the United States than any other country on earth. More than Saudi Arabia, more than OPEC. When Carney spoke, he didn't threaten to cut off oil. He simply said, Canada will ensure its resources serve its national interest first. That single sentence was enough. Oil prices jumped. Natural gas surged. Energy traders instantly understood the message. Carney didn't need to threaten anything. He simply reminded the world of the leverage Canada already holds. The global reaction. Then something even more remarkable happened. The rest of the world started lining up behind Canada. European leaders contacted Ottawa. Japan issued statements supporting multilateral trade. Global allies expressed concern about unilateral economic pressure from Washington. Instead of isolating Canada, Trump may have accidentally isolated the United States. A strategic miscalculation. Trump expected Canada to fold. That's how his strategy usually works. He threatens. They negotiate. He claims victory. But Carney broke the pattern. He refused. And now Trump is staring at the wreckage of his own strategy. Why Carney is different. Mark Carney is not a traditional politician. He ran the Bank of Canada through the 2008 financial crisis. He ran the Bank of England during Brexit. He has spent decades navigating the most complex financial crises in the world. He doesn't react emotionally. He calculates. He models risk. He anticipates outcomes. When the $500 billion demand arrived, Carney didn't panic. He ran the numbers. And then he struck back with precision. The bigger question. Now the world is watching. 2 leaders. 2 strategies. 1 confrontation that could reshape the North American economy. 1 leader relying on raw pressure. The other relying on calculated leverage. And the question now is simple. Who blinks first? Because this isn't just politics anymore. It's a high-stakes economic showdown between 2 of the largest economies on Earth. And the consequences will reach every factory, every market, and every household on the continent. So what do you think? Will Trump double down? Will Carney stand firm? Or is this the moment the world finally learns that even America's closest allies can say no? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see what happens when markets open tomorrow, because they will react, make sure you're subscribed. 'Cause this story is moving fast. And the $500 billion question may have just changed everything.